95 years ago, exactly on this date, 5th April, Mahatma Gandhi and his 78 followers reached Dandi. The next day, he broke the salt law, which marked the beginning of civil disobedience movement. A seemingly small step taken from Sabarmati covered 386 kilometers of march, which ignited a nationwide revolution. In the words of Gandhiji himself, you may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. Today, I stand before you to share some moments from my life where small actions created ripples of change. I was hardly 10 years of age when I composed my first poem. I took a small step of reading it out to my father, who took a small step of sending it to Balhans, a children's magazine. The poem got published. That small publication with a prize of rupees 50 became a big motivation. I kept writing poems, sending them to newspapers and magazines. And eventually, my childhood writings got published in a book. I currently am working on two poetry collections with RK Publishers, a novel, and a book on management. It all started with that small step. Lao Tzu was right when he said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. My childhood paintings were not discarded. Instead, my parents decided to send them to children's magazines. Occasionally, they got published. My passion for painting was so much that I had to give it up for pursuing my academics and for my career in RBI and later in IAS. But in 2019, I decided to paint again. And in past few years, my exhibitions have taken place in 13 locations. And my journey has brought me now to the Makkah of Indian art, the Jahangir Art Gallery, where my exhibition is going to take place from 16 to 22nd June 2025. Emerson was right when he said, every artist was first an amateur. I was doing my graduation when a girl was struggling with her academics. She had got supplementary in 10th standard. This was her second attempt. Her grandfather, who was a humble sweeper, he came to me with a small request. Would I tutor her? I agreed. But teaching her was not just about academics. It was also about breaking social barriers. She was not ready to sit with me on a chair. I insisted, but she did not adhere. I ultimately decided to sit on the floor to teach her at par. She opened up about her struggles. I taught her with all my sincerity. She learned with determination. Years later, she graduated, earned a BA, and today she stands in front of her own classroom as a teacher. It all started with a small step taken by her grandfather. Although I was a topper in University of Rajasthan with English literature, but I lacked confidence in speaking English. To an extent that I wrote all my competitive examinations in Hindi medium till 2006. But this had to change when I joined RBI Chennai as a manager. My unexpected teachers, the laborers and class 4 employees of issue department of RBI. They were ardent fans of Palika Vadhu, a show, Colors TV show about Rajasthan. They wanted to know from me about Rajasthan. I, in return, wanted to know about Tamil traditions. So after work over cups of lemon tea, we shared stories about Rajasthan's forts, Tamil Nadu's temples. We shared stories about Rajnikant's movies and about Rajasthan's rituals. Day by day, word by word, my confidence grew. I started writing articles and research papers for banking journals, which got published. I even secured first rank in a lot of all India competitions on banking related issues. My confidence grew to an extent that when I decided to write UPSC examination in 2010-11, I decided to appear in English media and I cleared it in 2012 and joined IAS. All of this started over seemingly small conversations about Palika Vadhu and Rajnikant. When I joined IAS, my probation was from Thane and I was made chief officer of Ambernath. On the first day, I asked the chief officer, the then chief officer, what is the most pressing civic issue in the city of Ambernath? He told me about the persistent flooding of the municipal council building. Why are we not fixing it? I asked. He told encroachments. The drainage work was sanctioned. The work order was in place, but the resistance from citizens was not allowing to execute it. I made up my mind. The news spread. My office got flooded, not with water, but with people, the encroachers, corporators. Some of them pleading me to stop the demolition drive, others even threatened. Amongst them was a woman, a blind woman, who was sobbing uncontrollably. Her desperate cries moved me. This shook me to my core. In that moment, somewhere my resolve wavered. Was I doing the right thing in taking away everything that she had? She was completely dependent on one shop, which was going away in the demolition drive. Did the greater good justify this? But with a heavy heart, I carried out the demolition. That month long tenure, I not only ensured that the demolition was carried out, but also that the drainage construction was completed, the road work was completed. Eventually, I learned that the encroachments resurfaced again after my transfer, including that of that blind woman. But that monsoon, the municipal council building was not flooded. That first demolition that I carried out, that first small act of firmness that I showed in Ambernath, ensured that I was able to carry out demolitions as my posting in SDM paid for the National Highway 66, as collector in Mumbai Suburban and Raigad for CRZ encroachments, and as joint commissioner in BMC for Tansa water pipeline related encroachments. First step is always the hardest, but even the greatest was once a beginner. So don't be afraid to take that step. Then I was posted as Tehsildar in Karjat for a month-long tenure. One day, a young boy came with his parents, anxiously requesting me to seek some help in getting his caste certificate from SDM. I knew that SDM was busy with the Karjat Nagar Parishad elections. Still, something about that boy's pleading desperation moved me. I rang up the SDM's office, asked his PA. She told me that the file was in order, the documents are in place, it only awaits SDM's signature. Without hesitation, I went to the SDM, took the file to him. He was amused at my persistence for a total stranger. He signed it. The boy left with the caste certificate, his dreams within his reach now. Years later, when I had joined BMC as joint commissioner, during visitors' hours, a man came and he handed me over a beautifully framed portrait of mine. I was puzzled. I didn't recognize him. He told me, ma'am, some years back, you helped me in getting a caste certificate. I needed it for railways exams, and I ultimately joined railways. Today, I work in Indian Railways. I was speechless till I told him, be good and do good. In my next posting, I was made SDM in paid. As SDM, I was able to close a lot of pending cases about MLRC and tenancy reforms. Most of the cases pertained about women seeking rights in property. They have been long withheld, long delayed. Probably because people in the system did not believe how can women claim inheritance. I was clear. I had to adhere to the constitution, to the laws. And I'm so proud to tell you that I was able to restore this basic right in property to so many of them. One particular experience about a case of women's right I would like to mention here. There was a girl who came to meet me distressed. She came and told me that her mother-in-law has filed a case against her. She had been married to a constable in Raigad Police. But unfortunately, tragically, her husband died within a year of her marriage. She had filed an application for compassionate appointment as his widow. But mother-in-law started filing cases in SDM's court, Tehsildar's court, frivolous claims that even the marriage had not taken place. And the real intention was that her other son, the deceased constable's brother, should get the job instead. I took up the case for hearing, went through the documents, heard all the parties, and decided the case and sent my report. 5 years later, I joined the same district as district collector. A young woman comes to me, approaches near my chair, kneels down. I stop her. Please tell whatever you want to say. Don't do this. She tells there is no grievance, ma'am. She was the same girl, the widow who fought for her rights. I'm so happy to tell you that she secured a job as clerk in Raigad Police. Small deeds done are better than great deeds planned. As I was posted in Raigad, on the seventh day of Ganpati festival in August 2020, a building collapsed. I was immediately rushing to the site. On my way, I got a call. It was from a man who was returning from Dubai by a first flight home. His family lived in Tariq building. He wanted to be on the spot to see, to pray, to hope for survival, for rescue of his family members. But there was a problem, as I mentioned here. For all Dubai returnees, a week-long quarantine was made mandatory in Mumbai. He was pleading for being on the spot. Having worked in Mumbai earlier, I contacted my counterparts. I told them to release this gentleman under my signature. I sent them a letter, they agreed. He reached on the spot midnight, anxious, exhausted, yet grateful. I told him, keep praying. 19 hours of relentless toiling, NDRF crew screamed a cry of triumph. Bacha hai, bacha zinda hai. Everybody shouted, Ganpati Bappa Moria. This was the spot. After 19 hours, a child was pulled out, miraculously unscathed. No wounds, no scratches. Yet, the joy was not permanent. His mother and two sisters had perished beneath the rubble. The name of the boy was Muhammad. His father, the same gentleman who returned from the battle. I stood there when he, overcome with emotion, clutched his son in a tearful embrace. In that moment, he had lost everything, but he held on to himself, the one thing that matters the most, the life. In COVID, the first wave was about the preparation, but the second wave was about the battle, the struggle for survival because of the scarcity of oxygen. I was fortunate that I was posted in Raigad and I could serve the state of Maharashtra because the district had become the oxygen powerhouse. But unfortunately, in September, on one day, a snag came in one particular plant. And the machine part which was needed to repair it was available only in Mehsana, Gujarat. I rang up the state oxygen task force, which swung into action. We contacted the Mehsana collector, who immediately directed his Tehsildar. We contacted the cargo airline in Gujarat. I personally talked to the manufacturer, told him, this is not just a machine part. It is oxygen for hundreds of critical patients. He understood the criticality, produced the part, gave it, released it to Tehsildar. We brought it to airport in Mumbai, gave a green corridor, sent to Taloja, where the plant was repaired without any glitch, without any interruption. And 240 metric ton of oxygen-powered plant supply remained uninterrupted. In that moment, I realized that in crisis, the leadership is not about just taking decisions. It is about making impossible happen. And many a times, impossible happens when we take care of small things like making direct calls to collector, tehsildar, and manufacturer. As I mentioned, the first wave was about preparation. At the same time, the first wave of COVID was also about fear, panic, which engulfed each one of us. In that first wave, One day, I got a call from a very popular animal activist and a political leader. Her voice was filled with concern. Donkeys were stranded on the Mahad Fort. I dispatched my animal husbandry team to Mahad Fort to verify the claims. Indeed, 91 donkeys with 2 shepherds were stranded on the fort. They belong to other districts. I rang up my counterparts in those districts so that they can issue passes and these animals can be sent back home. But as I told you, fear engulfed each one of us so much that their response was almost comical, yet painfully true. हमारे गधे आप ही रखो. You keep our donkeys. With no solution in sight, I had to direct my officials to take care to ensure that the shepherds and in charges were provided with water, fodder, and resources. In the end, when the restrictions were lifted, only one donkey died. All other donkeys returned to their home safely. We showed the same compassion for camels of Nagaon, for ponies at Nerar, for monkeys of Mathura. I can share a lot more stories and incidents from my personal experience and professional experience. But whatever I do in IAS is because of the authority that I get from government, because of the authority that I get from the Constitution of India. Every single day, a lot of officers like me everywhere in India are listening to strangers who come to their office, are doing their job because it is the call of their duty. And many a times, many of us go beyond the call of our duty because it is the call of our conscience. Today is also the International Day of Conscience, a day to reflect. Reflect what small actions of kindness, care, compassion, calmness, determination, and courage can we take to make a difference. The small flutters in our gut, the slow voices of our soul will take us farther than the loud, deafening noises of the surroundings. In Sanskrit, there's a very beautiful saying which has not come here so that you can listen. त्यजेत एकम कुलम शार्थे ग्रामशार्थे कुलम त्यजेत ग्रामम जनपद शार्थे आत्मार्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत. This means that we should be ready to sacrifice one for the family, family for the village, village for the nation, and we should be ready to sacrifice everything for conscience. Be ready to sacrifice to keep your conscience clear and lead a life which is not measured in grand gestures, but in innumerable acts, small acts of kindness, love, care, and compassion for others and for yourself. Thank you.